Hi guys, welcome back. Straight into the rebuild of the Karmann Ghia. We've got two looms here. This first one is the engine loom. This will link the ECU to the engine. It's got all the bits and pieces on it for the injectors and stuff. And then we've got this body loom. This is made by air-cooled Auto Elec. Ian's done a fantastic job of making this loom for us. It's a completely custom loom made to our specification. We changed loads of stuff on this. It's got lots of extra wires. We had to link the ECU loom with the body loom, so lots of bits and pieces for that. As you can see, it's got a custom fuse board. If we undo this, you'll see that it's all modern blade fuses, which is a really nice upgrade to have. Everything's insulated nicely. As you can see, the wires have been terminated with uninsulated terminals as per factory. In some cases, the wires have been left unterminated, so we can cut to length, make it nice and neat, and terminate ourselves. So yeah, really pleased with this loom. Ian's done a lovely job. There's a link in the description for his page, so check it out and give him a like. Then we've got this engine loom. This was made by Pro Tuner, who will be mapping the car. It's all labelled up nicely. So we've got wires for coils, injectors, crank triggers. We've got relays here for the coils, injectors, and to start the car. So yeah, let's get it in the vehicle. Something I forgot to do earlier was strip down these quarter light pop-out catches. As you can see, they're pretty gnarly and we want them to be black anyway. Tiny little circlips and roll pins that hold these together. So we need to carefully take these apart. And here we have all the bits apart, ready to be de-chromed and then painted. Unfortunately, this arm broke, so I'll have to get another one of these. But yeah, everything's labelled up and the glass is ready to be tinted. Okay, on with building up the doors. As you can see, we've had the lock mechanism zinc plated and the striker plates zinc coated as well. We've got these lovely CNC machined door pulls here. These are custom and were made for us. And then up here we've got all the new rubbers, door buffers and bits and pieces that we need to build the door up. And then over here we've got the original window winders. They've all been zinc plated as well. So everything's nice and new, clean and ready to fit. Let's go. It's really important to remember to lubricate everything as we go along. So we greased these winders as we built them up, and then every nut and bolt has a little bit of copper slip on it, just to make sure that they don't seize in the future. Okay, that's the doors done. Time to get on with the wiper motor and under bonnet area. So this car's being built with performance in mind, and the customer wanted the engine bay to be trimmed in this gold foil just like a McLaren F1. Unfortunately, unlike a vinyl wrap, you can't stretch and shrink this material, which means you will get a few wrinkles, but I spent a bit of time just trying to make it as good as I possibly can. Okay, with this car being built with performance in mind, it's got lots of extra bits and pieces that it obviously wouldn't have had from factory. Things like this oil filter housing with built-in thermostat, it's got charge coolers, it's got things like fuel pressure regulators, and because we did a complete dry build of this car before we painted it, all of the brackets are made for it, all of the holes are drilled. So now it's painted, it's just a case of fitting it up. As mentioned earlier in the video, Ian at Air Cooled Auto Elect had left some of these wires long for us so we could cut to length and terminate them. That's what we're doing here before we plug them into the light housing. Here we're fitting a vacuum block that takes inlet manifold vacuum or pressure, depending on whether we're making boost or not, and plumbs it into the fuel pressure regulator, the mass air pressure sensor, the blow-off valve, and also the boost gauge. On goes the fuel pressure regulator. This will make sure that we have a consistent pressure at the injectors when the fuel pump is running. Now I'm fitting a block that has two oil pressure sensors fitted and the switch for the oil pressure warning light, and then terminating the wires for this, and then goes on the mass air pressure sensor that will be plumbed into the vacuum block and give us a reading that the ECU can use. Next in is the charge cooler, which tucks nicely into the rear quarter. This cools down the air that comes from the turbocharger before it goes into the engine, which makes the air more dense and enables us to make more power. Next is the breather box, which mounts to this bracket that we made before. Right, in goes the boost controller. This will enable us to run low boost for running around town and then high boost when we want top power. We also made the rear valance removable to make it much easier to remove and reinstall the engine at a later date. Okay, next on the list is the steering column. This comprises of this ignition housing that will house your switches and your ignition barrel here, and obviously you've got the steering shaft that goes through the middle. Here's your steering column, your outer tube, your bracket that holds it to the car, and your cover for the ignition barrel. Then moving on to the table, over here we've got a brand new ignition switch, we've got the ignition barrel and key housing, we've got a new bearing and horn ring as well. Okay, that's the steering column finished and installed, and that's it for this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and check back next week for the next instalment on the Karmann Ghia. Cheers guys.